Nobody is buying these designer bags anymore, and stores are now quietly marking them down just to clear out stock. These were the names that once sold out in days, with wait lists, bidding wars, and resale prices that doubled overnight. But today, they are sitting on shelves, piling up in stockrooms, and slipping into hidden sale sections, luxury brands never wanted anyone to see. This is not a seasonal dip. It is a collapse in demand, and if you own any of these bags, it affects you. And the last one will show you just how far the luxury market has slipped. Number 10, Longchamp. There was a time when the Longchamp Le Pliage was everywhere. Airports, universities, city sidewalks. It was the bag that said effortless French chic without trying too hard. Lightweight, foldable, and just expensive enough to feel like a smart buy. For years, Longchamp owned that sweet spot between practical and polished. It was the tote you threw in your luggage, the bag you grabbed for a weekend trip, the piece that worked with everything without demanding attention. But that was the problem. Longchamp never evolved past it. While other brands reinvented themselves with bold new silhouettes and fresh storytelling, Longchamp kept selling the same nylon tote in different colors. What once felt timeless now feels stuck. The fashion world moved towards statement pieces, architectural shapes, and bags that photograph well on social media. Longchamp kept offering practicality in an era that wanted personality. The brand has tried to expand. The roseau, the mailbox, newer leather lines meant to elevate the offering. But none of them broke through the way the original did. And the original no longer excites anyone. Walk into a Longchamp store today, and you will see plenty of inventory sitting untouched. The displays are full. The urgency is gone. Sales associates have time to spare because customers are not lining up. Resale platforms tell the same story. Vintage and limited edition pieces still find buyers, but everyday styles barely hold value. Listings pile up faster than they sell. Prices drop with each relist. When even the second-hand market loses interest, you know desirability has faded. Longchamp is not struggling because it made bad products. It is struggling because it made the same product for too long. And in fashion, standing still is just another way of falling behind. The brand that once defined effortless chic now defines something else entirely: stagnation. But if Longchamp faded by staying too familiar, the next brand tried the opposite. It raised prices hoping to feel more exclusive, and customers walked away instead. Number 9, Mulberry. Mulberry used to own a very specific corner of the market. British heritage, beautiful leather, bags that felt special without screaming for attention. The Bayswater was iconic. The Alexa had waiting lists. Celebrities carried them. Fashion editors praised them. For a while, Mulberry was the quiet flex, that fashion. Insiders appreciated. It represented that rare intersection of craftsmanship and cool that most brands spend decades chasing. Then, the brand got ambitious. Prices climbed into Louis Vuitton territory, but the global recognition never followed. A bag that once cost £900 suddenly carried an £1,800 tag. The quality remained excellent, but the justification felt hollow. Customers noticed, and they stopped buying. Why pay Chanel prices for a brand that did not carry Chanel prestige? The numbers are harsh. Fiscal 2025 revenue fell 21% to £120 million. The brand posted a loss of nearly £32 million. Stores across Asia closed. Staff cuts rippled through the company. Even after raising £20 million in emergency funding, the bleeding has not stopped. First half 2026 sales are already down another 18%. Now Mulberry bags that once sparked excitement sit in sale sections, waiting. The Alexa, the Bayswater, styles that used to define the brand are being quietly marked down just to move. Private sales and strategic discounts have become routine. What was once unthinkable has become necessary. The brand also made the mistake of standing still creatively. While competitors like Bottega Veneta and Loewe pushed boundaries with innovative designs, Mulberry relied on heritage. Heritage is valuable, but it does not pay the bills when nobody is walking through the door. Mulberry priced itself out of its own market, and now it is paying the cost in unsold inventory and fading relevance. The bags are beautiful, the stores are quiet, and the future is uncertain. Mulberry tried to climb higher and fell, but the next brand fell from the opposite direction. It was everywhere, and that is exactly what destroyed it. Number 8. Michael Kors. There was a moment when Michael Kors felt like a rival. Not elite, but definitely on the way. The gold MK logo was the entry point into designer culture. Accessible glamour for people who wanted a taste of luxury without the price tag of the old European houses. It was aspirational in the best sense. The bag you bought when you got your first real job. The brand that made you feel like you were moving up. But Michael Kors made a fatal mistake. It became too available. Every outlet mall, every department store, every discount rack. The bags were everywhere. And when luxury is everywhere, it stops being luxury. The exclusivity that once made the brand desirable evaporated under the weight of sheer volume. Revenue tells the story. Fiscal 2025 brought in $3 billion, down from $3.5 billion the year before. Asia collapsed by 27%. The company posted a net loss of $547 million. Even the parent company admitted it had to rely on heavy promotions just to get customers interested again. The brand that once represented aspiration now represented markdown. Now, 100 stores are closing. The retail footprint is shrinking from 750 to 650 locations. And bags that once signaled aspiration now sit on permanent markdown, blending into the clearance landscape they were never supposed to join. The MK logo that once meant something now means discount. The company tried to reverse course. Prices went up in an attempt to reclaim prestige. But customers were not buying it, literally. When you have trained shoppers to wait for sales, full price becomes a hard sell. Michael Kors did not lose because it made bad products. It lost because it made too many of them, put them in too many places, and forgot that scarcity is what makes people want something. The bags are still there, the customers are not. Michael Kors drowned in its own supply. But the next brand tried to reinvent itself out of the same trap, and it still has not worked. Number 7. Coach. Coach was once the definition of American luxury. Quality leather, timeless silhouettes, the bag your mother saved up for and kept for decades. It meant something to own one. The craftsmanship was real, the heritage was authentic. For generations, Coach represented accessible excellence. But somewhere along the way, Coach lost that magic, and it has been chasing it ever since. The brand has tried everything: new creative directors, collaborations with younger designers, edgier campaigns, repositioning as a cooler, more relevant label. Stuart Vevers brought a downtown New York sensibility. Celebrity partnerships generated buzz. Some of it worked on the runway and in magazines. But in the stores, the bags keep piling up. Walk into any Coach boutique or outlet, and you will see the evidence. Shelves full of inventory, seasonal styles that never caught fire, bags waiting for buyers who already moved on to brands with fresher stories. The leather is still good, the construction is still solid, but nobody is excited. Coach is still respected. The craftsmanship is still there. Industry insiders acknowledge the quality, but respect does not clear stockrooms. And right now, Coach has a lot of product that nobody is lining up to buy. The brand is stuck in a difficult position. Too premium for the mass market, not exclusive enough for the luxury crowd. Coach is stuck between heritage and reinvention. But the next brand is stuck somewhere even harder. It built an identity on playful charm, and the world outgrew it. Number 6. Kate Spade. Kate Spade was never supposed to be serious. That was the whole point. Bright colors, whimsical prints, bags that felt like a wink instead of a statement. It was the brand for women who wanted fun without pretension. The bag you carried to brunch, the tote that made you smile on a Monday morning. And for a while, that formula worked beautifully. Kate Spade carved out a niche that nobody else owned. But fashion moved on. The playful aesthetic that once felt fresh started feeling juvenile. Younger shoppers gravitated toward minimalism, quiet luxury, and brands with cleaner lines. The Instagram era rewarded neutral tones and understated elegance. Kate Spade kept making cheerful bags for a customer who was no longer paying attention. The polka dots and bright pinks that once felt charming started feeling out of touch. The outlet problem made things worse. Kate Spade bags flooded discount channels, eroding whatever aspirational status remained. When your products are constantly available at half off, full price stops making sense to anyone. The brand trained its own customers to wait for sales. Now the brand is caught between nostalgia and relevance. Longtime fans still remember what Kate Spade used to mean. The emotional connection is real. But memories do not move inventory. And right now, there is a lot of inventory waiting to move. The playfulness that once defined Kate Spade now feels like a liability in a market that takes itself very seriously. Kate Spade lost its spark by staying too cute. But the next brand is fading for the opposite reason. It is perfectly fine. And perfectly fine is no longer enough. Number 5. Furla. Furla built its reputation on being the sensible choice. Italian craftsmanship at an accessible price. Bags that looked expensive without the sticker shock. For shoppers who wanted quality without drama, Furla was the answer. It occupied a comfortable middle ground. Not too flashy, not too plain. Professional enough for the office, stylish enough for dinner. The brand did not demand attention. It simply delivered solid value. But sensible does not excite anyone anymore. The luxury market has split into two lanes. Either you are ultra-premium with scarcity and storytelling, or you are fast fashion with speed and trend cycles. The middle ground where Furla lives has become a no man's land. Shoppers either trade up for prestige or trade down for disposability. The middle gets squeezed from both sides. The silhouettes have not helped. Furla's designs are clean and functional, but they do not stand out. Nothing demands attention. Nothing makes someone stop scrolling. In a market flooded with options, being quietly good is not enough to get noticed. You need a point of view. You need something that makes people feel something. Furla offers competence. The market demands passion. Furla is not failing because it did anything wrong. It is fading because it did not do anything memorable. And in fashion, forgettable is fatal. The bags are well made, the prices are fair, and nobody is talking about them. Furla disappeared by blending in, but the next brand made the opposite mistake. It stood out so aggressively that people finally turned away. Number 4. Balenciaga. Balenciaga used to be untouchable. The city bag defined cool for an entire generation. The brand mixed high fashion with street credibility in a way nobody else could. Demna brought an ironic edge that fashion insiders worshipped. Owning Balenciaga meant you understood something the mainstream did not. It was the brand for people who wanted to signal that they were ahead. Then came the controversies. The 2022 ad campaigns triggered massive backlash. Images that many found disturbing sparked outrage across social media. Celebrities distanced themselves publicly. Customers quietly stepped back. And the hype machine that had powered the brand for years suddenly stalled. The cultural momentum that once seemed unstoppable reversed almost overnight. The numbers showed the damage. Parent company Kering reported that its other houses, including Balenciaga, saw revenue drop 15% in the third quarter of 2024. Operating income for that division collapsed by 80%. The brand that once drove cultural conversation became one Kering barely wanted to discuss. Leadership changes followed. Strategies shifted. But the damage was done. Resale values plummeted. The Hourglass, the neoclassic, bags that once sold above retail, started appearing at 30 to 40% discounts on secondary markets. Listings sat for weeks, then months, and inside boutiques, the energy shifted, fewer customers browsing, fuller shelves collecting dust, quieter registers where transactions used to flow. Balenciaga has tried to recover. New campaigns, new faces, strategic repositioning. But rebuilding trust takes longer than destroying it. Reputation is fragile. Once broken, it does not simply snap back into place. And right now, the bags are sitting while the brand figures out its next move. Balenciaga burned bright and flamed out. But the next brand is facing a slower, quieter fade. One logo at a time. Number 3. Fendi. Fendi used to be the definition of Italian glamour. The baguette was a cultural moment. Sex and the City made it iconic. The double F logo signaled taste, status, and access to a world most people only dreamed about. Owning Fendi meant you had arrived. It was the bag that said you understood fashion at a deeper level. But Fendi leaned too hard into that logo. The FF print spread across everything. Bags, belts, accessories, clothes. It became unavoidable. What was once a mark of exclusivity became wallpaper. And when a symbol meant to signal exclusivity starts showing up everywhere, it stops meaning anything at all. The logo that once whispered prestige started shouting desperation. The fatigue is showing. Kering's other houses, which include Fendi, saw combined revenue drop 15% in late 2024. Operating income cratered. And the resale market tells an even clearer story. Bags like the Peekaboo that once held their value now sell at significant discounts. 30 to 40% below retail is common. Listings sit for months without buyers. The investment piece narrative has collapsed. Fendi did not collapse because the quality declined. The craftsmanship is still excellent. It collapsed because the logo stopped feeling rare. And, in luxury, rare is the only currency that matters. When everyone has the symbol, nobody wants it. Fendi overplayed its symbols. But the next brand overplayed something even bigger. It overplayed hype itself. Number 2, Gucci. There was a time when Gucci could not make bags fast enough. The GG logo was everywhere. Waiting lists stretched for months. Resale prices climbed above retail. It was the hottest name in luxury, and nothing seemed capable of slowing it down. Alessandro Michele turned the brand into a cultural phenomenon. Celebrities wore it. Influencers flaunted it. The fashion world could not stop talking about it. But hype has a shelf life. And Gucci hit expiration faster than anyone expected. Revenue dropped 23% in 2024, falling to 7.65 billion euros. Operating income was cut in half, down 51% in a single year. By the first quarter of 2025, sales plunged another 25%. The stores that once buzzed with energy now feel quieter. The bags that once flew off shelves now wait for buyers who may never come. The problem was overexposure. Gucci became too visible, too loud, too everywhere. When your logo is on every influencer, every knockoff, and every airport duty-free shop, the exclusivity evaporates. What once screamed status started whispering saturation. The double G that used to signal arrival started signaling something else entirely. Trying too hard. Then came the creative turmoil. Sabato De Sarno was brought in to reset the aesthetic. But he lasted less than 2 years before leaving abruptly. Now Demna from Balenciaga has been appointed to lead the creative vision. But turnarounds take time, and inventory does not wait. Now the brand is running private sales to move inventory. Quiet discounts for loyal clients. Strategic markdowns that never make headlines. Behind the scenes, Gucci is clearing stock from the hype years, while trying to figure out what comes next. The bags are there. The customers have moved on. Gucci built an empire on being wanted. But when everyone had it, nobody wanted it anymore. Gucci faded by becoming impossible to escape. But the brand at number 1 is fading for the opposite reason. It became impossible to notice. Number 1, Tod's. If any brand should have thrived in the quiet luxury era, it was Todd's. No logos, no flash. Just impeccable Italian craftsmanship and understated elegance. The driving loafers were legendary. The leather bags whispered wealth instead of shouting it. For decades, Todd's was the choice for people who did not need to prove anything to anyone. Old money loved it. Fashion purists respected it. It was luxury in its purest form. But quiet luxury found new champions. Loro Piana, Brunello Cucinelli, the Row. They took the same principles, added storytelling and cultural relevance, and captured the customers Todd's always assumed would stay. They made understated feel exciting. They made quiet feel like a statement. Todd's just stayed quiet. The decline has been painful. By early 2025, Todd's announced it would delist from the stock market and go private. That is corporate speak, for we need to fix this away from public scrutiny. Sales in China and Europe have slid for years. The customer base aged out, and younger shoppers never showed up to replace them. The brand that invented quiet luxury got out-quieted by everyone else. Walk into a Todd's boutique, and you will see beautiful bags, perfectly made, sitting in pristine displays. The leather is exquisite. The craftsmanship is flawless. Nobody is rushing to buy them. Nobody is asking when new stock arrives. The pieces just wait, elegant and overlooked. And that is the fundamental problem. Todd's never made anyone feel anything. It was always about quality, never about emotion. In a market where luxury is increasingly about identity, community, and cultural relevance, being beautifully made means nothing if nobody cares. You can have the best product in the room and still lose if nobody is paying attention. Now, the brand relies on private sales, quiet markdowns, and invitation-only events to move inventory. The signature bags that defined Todd's legacy are being discounted in ways the brand never imagined. The D-styling, the DI bag, pieces that should be heirlooms, are slipping into sale territory. Todd's proves that quality alone is not enough. In a market that rewards emotion, identity, and cultural relevance, being beautifully made means nothing if nobody cares. Luxury is not about what you make anymore. It is about how you make people feel. And Todd's forgot to make anyone feel anything at all.